Hello, my dear students of class 6. Welcome to physics class once again. In my previous class, I have started the new chapter number 3, force. And I have taught you what is force. A push or a pull acting on an object is called force. When we try to push or pull object, so what is that? That is force. So when we push the object moves away from us, and when we try to pull the object, it moves towards us. Again, I gave you the example of force as a push and force as a pull. Then I have taught you forces acts in pairs. That means that when one object exerts force on the other object, the second object, other object means, so the second object will also exert an opposite force on the first object. So I have said you that in my next class I am going to teach you about the types of force. So let's start our today's class. So our today's class first topic is that forces are divided into two types. Number one, contact forces. Number two, non-contact forces. First, we will learn about contact forces in detail. Then we will learn about non-contact forces in detail. Now, what is this contact force? So by the word contact only, we can say that, when the two object or two bodies are in contact, then only the force will act between them. Contact means what? You already know the meaning of contact, and what is there? Contact forces. So when the body is in touch with the other object, it should be in touch or it should be in contact with that object, then only the contact force will act between them. Then only the contact force will act between them. So I have made the diagram to show you contact force. This is a boy, standing, and the box is at a distance, from this boy. Now this boy want to move this box. So how will he move this box? How will he move this box? In order to move this box, he need to touch this box. He need to be in contact with this box. So what he will do? He will touch this box. When he will touch this box, then only he can push or pull the box. Then only he can move the box. So to move the box, what this boy have to do is that he have to be in contact with this box. He have to, what this boy has to do to move this box? He have to touch this box. He have to be in direct contact with this box. Then only he can move this box. And when he is in direct contact with this box, his hands are in direct contact with this box. So at that time the force will act between these two. The force will act between these two. Between this boy's hand, he touches this and the box. So this is called the contact force. When one body, when you can say when two objects are in contact, or even you can say when the two bodies are in contact with one another, then only the force will act between them. So I think it is clear to you what is contact force. So let me give you the small definition of contact force. Is that a force which is applied on an object by another object which is in direct contact with it is termed as contact force. So by the definition it is clear that when the force is applied by one object on the another object, when they are in direct contact, when they are in touch, when they are in contact, then only the force will act between them. So this is called the contact force. For contact force, the object needs to be in contact. Now there are different names given for the contact forces, so we are going to learn about them. There are four types of contact forces. Number one, tension force. Number two, spring force. Number three, force of friction. Number four, normal force. Now what is this tension force? So it is the force that acts on a string when an object is hung from a string. Okay, so this tension force, what it is the force, it will act on the string. Now what is this string? Okay, string can be in the form of long, what is a strong wire. Okay, it can be in the form of rope also. Okay, in the form of cable and all, it can be there. Okay, so the force that act on the string, okay, when the object is hung from the string. Okay, and tension force is a pulling force. Always keep in mind that tension force is always a pulling force. Okay, now for example, you can see in this picture, okay, it is a crane. Okay, so a tension force is created in the steel cable. You can see the steel cable, okay, from which the car is being lifted. Okay, and car is being pulled. Okay, it is being pulled, no? And what I said, that tension force is always a pulling force. Okay, so after tension force, let's go for the spring force. Okay, what is this spring force? The force exerted by a compressed or a stretched spring upon any object that is attached to it is called spring force. Okay, so spring force, okay, is the force, it is exerted by the compressed, okay, or a stretched spring upon any object, and the object need to be attached to it. Here we are talking about the contact. Okay, here we are talking about the contact forces. So the object need to be in contact with the other object, then only the force will act between them. Okay, so you can see in this example that there are three springs. Okay, so number one spring, you can see that the ball is attached to the spring. Okay, that means the ball is in contact with the spring. Okay, they are in contact with the spring. Okay, in the second case you can see that, okay, the spring pushes the ball forward, the stretched spring pushes the ball forward. Okay, and in the third one you can see that the compressed spring is trying to pull the ball inward. Okay, you can see now the stretch one is pushing the ball forward. Okay, and the third one you can see that it is trying to pull the ball inward. Okay, so I think you have understood that what is spring force. Okay, let me give you one more example. You have seen so many toys. Okay, so one of the toy you have seen that when you will open the box, okay, the toy pops out. Okay, and it is attached to the spring. Okay, I think you have seen this. Okay, so why it is so? Because of the force exerted by the what? Exerted by the spring upon the object which is attached to it. Okay, here you can see that the toy is attached to the spring. So as soon as we open the box, okay, the toy pops out because the spring get stretched. Okay, and it exerts the force on the object which is attached to it. Okay, so now let's go for the next one, that is force of friction. Okay, now what is this force of friction? Okay, now before giving the definition I want to give you few examples. Okay, so you always play with the ball. Okay, you like to play with the ball, I think so. So when you play with the ball, what you do, you throw the ball on the ground. Okay, you throw the ball on the ground, and when you throw the ball it rolls. Okay, some distance, and after some time it stops. After some time it stops. So why does this ball stop? What is the reason for the ball to stop? You did not went there and you have stopped the ball with your hand or with the help of leg, but it stops. Why it is so? Because of the friction. Okay, because of the friction the balls stop. Because of the friction the ball stop. Okay, the ground opposes the motion of the ball. Now motion means the moving ball. Okay, when the object is in, what do you say, when the object is moving and all, so we say that the object is in motion. Okay, so ground opposes the motion of the ball. Okay, that is why the ball stops. Okay, sometime when you are cycling, when you apply a brake, your cycle stops. Okay, why? Because of the friction. between the wheel and the ground. About this we will learn in detail, okay, in our next topic, okay, about friction. Advantage of friction, disadvantage of friction, what is the use of the friction, and what is the use of friction and all, we are going to learn in detail about this, okay, in our next topic. Okay, so I think now you have understood the force of friction. Okay, so the ball is in direct contact with the ground, okay, and the ground stops the moving object, that is the ball. Okay, so friction, because of friction the ball stopped, and friction is between the where ball and the ground. Ball is in direct contact with the ground. Okay, so for the force of friction the object need to be in contact with the other object. Okay, so now let me give you the definition of friction, small definition. The force that opposes motion is called friction. Okay, this force will always try to oppose the motion. It will always try to stop the moving object, or it will try to change the direction of the moving object. Okay, so this friction always try to stop the moving object. Okay, it always opposes the motion. Friction is the opposing motion. It is applied by one surface over another. Okay, so now let me give you one more example. Okay, many of you likes to play carom board. Okay, and it is an indoor game. So what you see in the carom board is that when you strike the striker, okay, when you strike the striker comes to stop. After some time, the striker comes to stop. No, now why it is so? Is your striker moving continuously? Okay, is it moving? No, no. After striking, your striker comes to stop. Now, why it is so? Because of the force of friction between the striker and the board. Okay, the board try to oppose the moving object. Okay, it tries to oppose the motion of the striker. So, striker comes to stop because of force of friction. Okay. Now, so I think you have understood the force of friction. Okay, so for what is say force of friction, also the body need to be in contact. Okay, now the last one is the normal force. Now what is the normal force? Now what is normal force? The support force or reaction force exerted upon an object that is in contact with another stable object is called normal force. Okay, so normal force is nothing but it is a supportive force. Okay, here the two objects supports one another. Okay, here one object will exert force on the other object, so the other object will also support the what, it will also exert the force on the other object. Here, okay, the normal force is a supportive force. Okay, it is a supportive force. It supports the object. It supports the object. Here, the one object will exert force on the other object. So, the other object will also exert equal and opposite force on the first object in order to support it. Okay. Now, what is normal force example? Okay. Now, you can see here the book is lying on the table. Okay, the book is lying on the table. So, the book is in the rest. Okay. Is the book moving here and there? No, the book is at rest. Okay, it is not moving. Okay, so the book is kept on a table. The book exerts the downward force. The book is exerting the downward force on the table. Why? Because of its weight. Okay, because of its weight the book is exerting the downward force. Okay, and where it is exerting? It is exerting on the table. So the table is also exerting an upward force. Okay, so the table is also exerting the upward force. Okay, on the book. Okay, so here you see that both are supporting each other. That is why in the definition it is given, what is normal force? The support force or reaction force exerted upon an object that is in contact with another stable object is called normal force. Okay, so you have seen that here the objects are in contact with one another. Okay, so today I have taught you about contact forces. Okay, and I have said you that there are different names given to these contact forces are tension force. Here also we have seen that when the two objects are in contact, then only the force acts between them. Okay, and in spring force also, when the ball is attached to the spring, okay, when the ball is in contact with the spring, then only the force act between them. In the force of friction also, when the two bodies are in contact with one another. Okay, and in the normal force also, when the two bodies are in contact, okay, then only the force act between them. Okay, so in my next class I will teach you about the non-contact forces and their types. Okay, so for today up to this much, I hope you have understood what I have taught you. Okay, thank you.